Even though Bitcoin could be seeing a drop over the short term, Cathie Woods has just said their Bitcoin price target of a huge $1.5 million has never been stronger. Now, if you don't know the story, at the beginning of this year, ARK Invest put out their annual Big Ideas 2023, where they made some big price predictions for Bitcoin and crypto. And with what's been happening this year, they are more convinced than ever that Bitcoin is on track to hit these huge price targets. So, as we're now halfway through the year, we're going to check back in and see how this is playing out. And we'll be looking at what Cathie Woods just said to Bloomberg as to where she thinks Bitcoin's price will be going. Then we'll do a full breakdown of exactly what needs to happen to make this a reality. And then we'll finish by looking at 3 scenarios of what would happen to your money if you invest $20,000, $50,000 and $100,000. Okay, so first up, even though Bitcoin is seeing a bit of a pullback right now, let's start with what Cathie Woods has just said about Bitcoin.
We went to a bear, base, and bull case. So our bull case is, I think it's 1.5 million. The base case is 625,000, something like that. Now, one reason we've actually internally, our confidence has increased towards the bull case is because of what happened during the regional bank crisis in March. What happened? Bitcoin, so as regional banks are going bankrupt and the stocks are imploding across the board for the KRE, Bitcoin rallied from 19,000 to 30,000. Why did that happen? That was a flight to safety. That is the insurance policy that we are talking about, that we believe everyone will want at the end of the day. Insurance policy against 2 things: confiscation of wealth, either directly or by inflation, or in the deflation world, what is it a hedge against? Right. It's a hedge against counterparty risk. We won't have an 0809 with Bitcoin. Everything is decentralized and transparent. No obfuscation.
Okay, so let's do a full breakdown of what she was talking about and how exactly would Bitcoin be getting to $1.5 million. And this was the valuation done at the start of the year, and this is what she was talking about. They did a bear case, a base case, and a bull case for Bitcoin. And there was 8 different categories or markets that Bitcoin could be going into, and then what percentage penetration would it take for the bear case, the base case, and the bull case. And it's color coordinated as well, so starting at the bottom, which is in purple, and this would be taking market share off gold. So this would be Bitcoin being digital gold. And then in green, we have institutional investors. In red, we move to global high net worth individuals. Then quite a small layer for US bank settlements. In yellow, we have emerging market currency, so Bitcoin becoming a full-blown currency. Nation states using Bitcoin in their treasury as reserves. We have global remittances, and then finally corporations putting some of their cash and equivalents into Bitcoin as well. And from today's price, what this works out to be is, as the worst case or bear case scenario is still an 8 times increase from today. Base case is a 22 times increase. And then as you saw on the front of this video, the bull case, which she said is now more confident on, is a 50x from today. Now, when it comes to the bear case, this is still $258,000. And you can see it's made up of mainly just 2 categories. This would be taking 20% of gold's market share, and then institutional investors just putting 1% into Bitcoin. And me personally, I always prefer to work from the lower estimates and err on the side of caution. And for me, this is still an excellent scenario and doesn't seem that far out of reach. Now, with the base case, you've got 40% in digital gold, 2.5% for the institutions. Global high net worths would be putting 3%. It would require some US banks to be using it as well, and a large part as an emerging market currency. And then the bull case, we'll just go over the big categories. So it would really need to be used in the emerging markets as a full-blown currency. There's a big chunk in high net worth individuals, institutional investors is a very large portion, and then it'd be taking 50% of gold's market cap. So for me, this still remains a very ambitious target. And one final point from me would be on this bear case. You'll notice it has no corporations using it as a treasury, and today, obviously MicroStrategy being the biggest, but there are businesses, including Tesla, that have already converted some of their cash into Bitcoin. It has 0% as nation state treasuries, and there are a couple of nation states that hold Bitcoin. So for me, this says that this target and an 8 times increase is very realistic and we're on track. But this one, to me, still looks like there is a long way to go. Now, to finish up, let's take a look at what would happen with your money if these scenarios played out. So starting with $100,000, and what would this actually look like? Well, on the worst case scenario, it would be turning into $800,000, which is pretty good. As the base case, you now get to $2.2 million, which obviously would be amazing. And as the bull case, a very strong 5 million. So pretty huge, but let's just look at a smaller figure so it involves more people. Second scenario, let's do $50,000. So this opens the door to more people, and as a worst case scenario, this still turns into 400,000, which in many parts of the world, you could buy a property outright. So as a worst case, I'd say that is pretty good. As the base case, it turns into $1 million, which is outstanding. And then as the bull case, 2.5 million. So pretty good. And then to involve the most people, let's do $20,000. And as a worst case scenario, it still turns into $160,000, which is an excellent down payment, or depending where you live, buying a house outright. As the base case, 440K, which is excellent. And as a bull case, it still gets to the $1 million mark. And I think we'd all agree an investment of $20,000 turning into 1 million would be outstanding. And interestingly, that is what Cathie Wood said just last week.